Hi everyone, welcome to VRC with Gaurav. In this video, we are solving a practice RC passage. The genre is somewhat of a mix between business and economics. Not so much as business as it is about inclined towards economics. Some particular jargon is coming away in this RC passage, and I thought that it would be a good practice after doing a little bit of social science for the past 2-3 videos. So now let's dive in and see what the passage is about. Okay. All right. As usual, I would recommend that you pause the video here, go through the RC passage, then use the timestamp that I'm providing in the description box to go to the respective questions, jot down your answers, then come back here and see whether your answers match or not. Take it. So, chalo. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, I would like to request consider liking, subscribing, sharing it with your friends, fellow CAT aspirants. Now, let's begin with the RC passage. Okay. So, as you can see, the first thing that comes to mind when looking at this RC passage is यार इसका लेंथ कितना ज्यादा है, right? So this is going beyond a typical 500 word RC passage. There is a approximate 10 to 20% more length here. तो अगर आपको solve करने में ये थोड़ा ज्यादा time लगा होगा, तो not a major worry. You can discount that extra 1-2 minutes, taking into account the length here. ठीक है? तो चलो explanation देखते हैं. Secondly, another thing to keep in mind, this passage will give trouble or will be a sore point for people who have been struggling with retention, information retention when they read the passage. A lot of guys who have started very recently with RC passage or generally people who struggle with respect to attention span and all, तो उनको इसमें struggle गया होगा. By the time you come to this part of the RC passage, it's like भाई यहाँ क्या बोला था, evaporate हो गया दिमाग से. Even though there is just one continuing theme throughout the passage, throughout the narrative, but there is a certain amount of information that is thrown your way and you're expected to be able to hold it properly, or if you are good at paraphrasing, if you are good at making notes as you go through it all, so that also comes in handy. But for the vast majority of decent aspirants जिनको जम जाता है fact based straightforward passage, for them this should have been pretty doable, because as you can see, as I've mentioned, the narrative is really very straightforward. It is very linear. The passage actually has a lot of anti-capitalism overtones to it. The author is not mincing any words when it comes to talking or highlighting about the cons, about the problems with respect to capitalist form of production. And there is a particular area which he has chosen to discuss with the reader, and that is animal agriculture. So, ठीक है, देखते हैं. Let's start from the first paragraph. Author is starting off with a particular quote from Karl Marx. Now, one thing to keep in mind is कि देखो Karl Marx stands for Karl Marx is the face of anti-capitalism throughout the world. This is the guy who came forward with communist ideology, published a very well-known work with Friedrich Engel's The Communist Manifesto. ये थोड़ा सा basic information expected है कि any decent CAT aspirant should be aware of. If you are not aware of it, I strongly recommend एक तो आप Wikipedia जाके check कर लो, या फिर YouTube पे you will find quite a lot of videos which will explain these terms to you. I have also taken a lecture in my institute where I explain these basic terms, where I have explained what did Karl Marx say, what happened, blah, blah, blah. If you want to have access to that video, want to go through it, so ping me on my mail ID. I'll share that video. Okay? So, chalo, let's go ahead. Author says कि at the core of capitalist system, separation होता है बहुत strongly. ठीक है? If you have a proper capitalist system going on, so there is producer on one side, ठीक है जी, and then there is a consumer on the other end. बट इनके बीच में ना अच्छा कनेक्शन नहीं होता. इनके बीच में होती है काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग गैप. दे आर सेपरेटेड. देयर इज दिस ऑल मैसिव गैप बिटवीन देम. The consumer is not completely aware कि who the producer is, where was it produced and all, and the producer has absolutely no idea who the consumer is, where will it go, how will it go, वगैरह वगैरह. बीच में there is an entire massive chain, supply chain, logistics, whatever you call it, which separates this two. And author says कि देखो ये बोलकर तो कार्ल मार्क्स 1867 में चला गया था, but today 150 years later, so approximately we can estimate that this passage was written sometime around 2017. तो उसके अंदर में passage is saying, author is saying कि this word, this quote hold true even today with respect to specifically the mega farms which seem to be coming up in the author's country. Past 6 years में he is saying 800 mega farms have come up. And what is so specific about mega farms? It's not your regular farms where we grow crops, where we grow plants. That is not concerned. यहाँ पर animal agriculture की बात होगी. And what do you mean by animal agriculture? तो straightforward है. Either you cultivate, either you bring up animals for slaughter, that is meat consumption, या फिर maybe in the case of poultry, it's for egg consumption, या फिर डेयरी इंडस्ट्री वेर यू ब्रिंग अप काउज टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मिल्क गोइंग ऑन, ठीक है। तो उसी के रिस्पेक्ट में ऑथर इज टचिंग अपॉन टू एस्पेक्ट्स प्रोमिनेंटली। वन इज मीट इंडस्ट्री, वेर इज सेइंग कि देखो पिछले महज केवल 50 साल में meat consumption throughout the world has become 4 times, which is a massive amount. Okay, this number should not be taken lightly. Imagine 4x demand हो गया within 50 years, and आने वाले 10 साल में that is expected to become even more hellish. वहां पर एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि ऑलमोस्ट डबल हो जाएगा कंजम्पशन आज के कंडीशन से within the next 10 years, which is again a massive growth. तो ये प्रेशर आ रहा है अभी सारे डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज पे, जहां पर मार्जिनलाइज ग्रुप्स है, जहां पर बहुत ज्यादा डेवलपमेंट नहीं है, बट ग्रोथ इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम द इंडस्ट्री। तो ऑल इन ऑल सच रैपिडली राइजिंग नंबर्स, इवन दो दे पोस्ट रियली गुड इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, देखने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बट behind the scenes it is creating a lot of pressure on the system. Then moving to the second aspect of it, author now says कि यार देखो, now coming to the British dairy industry. मीट वाला तो उसने शॉर्ट में हमें बता दिया that overall world में थोड़ी स्थिति खराब है, but when it comes to dairy industry, now he says that British dairy industry is a solid classic example of animal agriculture meets capitalism. So let's jot it down. Dairy industry, खास करके British dairy industry. Pardon my writing, it's not coming out good today. Okay. Just a second. Okay. What does the author say? British dairy industry. It's a classic case of animal agriculture, animal husbandry बोलते हैं इंडिया में थोड़ा सा ज्यादा. That is the more prominent term that we are used to here in India. Plus capitalism, classic capitalism, where you have a separation between producer and consumer. And how is that happening? So author has once again not mincing any words. He's trying to portray the real tough to accept picture before you. यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा might be a bit tough for readers with a sensitive heart to go through. कि जो female cow है, it is considered as a labor. What does a labor do? It gives its physical energy, it gives it resources, and in exchange उसको बेचारे को कुछ थोड़ी सी मजदूरी मिल जाती है. In human laborer they get wages. What does a cow get? Just food. And the female cow is used as a laborer here and also exploited a lot. And the buck does not stop there. The female cow maybe one day is going to give birth to a offspring. An offspring, तो क्या होगा? Offspring will either be once again a female cow. वो हो गया तो चलो ठीक है, well and good. It's going to be the next generation cow. But if it turns out to be a male calf, okay, we call the offspring of a cow as a calf. ठीक है? तो अगर एक मेल काफ निकल गया, as mentioned over here, तो this is also considered as a commodity. और ये तो surplus products है, मेल काफ is not going to give us milk. तो क्या किया जाए? तो then it is sold out, an item to be sold to consumers. FYI, male calves are generally sold as slaughterhouses, and their meat is consumed in society. Prominently it is called as veal. Okay, I'll spell it out for you. You can make a note of it if you're not aware of these terms. बेसिक जो टर्म्स होते हैं मीट के, इट्स बीफ जो कि ग्रोन अप कैटल से आता है, व्हील मतलब कि यंगर काफ से मिलता है, पोक इज पिग का मीट, चिकन वगैरह ये तो आप सब जानते ही हो, फ्रॉम पोल्ट्री कम्स फ्रॉम hens and ducks, so on so forth. So there is a lot of standard nomenclature that goes on, but yes, this is the basic of it. So of course for the typical Indian vegetarian or the Hindu vegetarian mind, this might be a bit not easy to accept, but yes, this is what goes on in Western countries. And author is saying, देखो जो British dairy industry, it is a classic example of animal agriculture meets capitalism. Why? Because we are creating animals, sorry, we are considering animals as objects. Okay, this dairy industry is a solid example of Marx theory of the objectification, which is a solid inherent part of capitalism. कि कैपिटलिज्म में तुम ना इंसान को इंसान देखते ही नहीं, जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है खुद के रिसोर्सेज के साथ, वो तुम उसको कंसिडर करते ही नहीं. यू कंसिडर देम एज ऑब्जेक्ट्स. ठीक है, अच्छा ठीक है, if I have something non-human before me, whether it is a living thing or non-living thing, whatever, it is considered as an object which is there to fulfill your demand, which is there to fulfill and give you profits. So that is leading to what? That animals get branded as livestock, और उनको जानवर को लिविंग बीइंग की तरह नहीं, ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह ट्रीट किया जाता है. अच्छा, फीमेल काउ है तो चलो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन काउ इज रेडी. मेल काफ है, मेल काउ है, काउ नहीं बोल सकते मेल को, मेल काफ है, तो चलो भाई इसको सेल आउट कर दो टू द स्लॉटर हाउसेज, इट विल बी यूज्ड एज मीट. तो कहीं ना कहीं यू कैन सी सॉलिड ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन इज गोइंग ऑन, नॉट इजी टू एक्सेप्ट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. एनीवे, मूविंग अहेड, कमोडिफिकेशन जो हो रहा है इस तरीके से एंड ओनरशिप बाय अदर्स, ऑथर सेज ये सब कुछ डायरेक्ट रिजल्ट है बिकॉज ऑफ डिविजन ऑफ लेबर, विच इज वंस अगेन अ फंडामेंटल aspect of capitalism. Now this, once again, this division of labor is a very standard term which you should be aware of. What does it mean, division of labor? Imagine that you have a massive factory, massive industry located at one place. So you hire somebody, you hire a worker to do only one specific kind of job and nothing more than that. For example, if there is somebody who fits the nuts and bolts on a tire of a vehicle. Imagine an automobile assembly industry factory. तो उस आदमी का काम है कार के ऊपर जो टायर लगता है ना, उसके ऊपर में सिर्फ नट बोल्ट ही फिट करना है. ऑफ कोर्स टुडे दिस जॉब्स आर डन बाय रोबोट्स एंड ऑल, तो थोड़ा सा 30-50 इयर्स पहले जाके सोचो आप. तो उनका एक ही काम है बस, दिन रात बस. वो इंसान क्या करेगा, तो सामने गाड़ी आएगी, उसके टायर है और उसको लगाते जाना है नट बोल्ट उसके ऊपर. दैट्स इट. दैट गाय हैज लिटरली नथिंग टू डू विद पेंटिंग द कार, नथिंग टू डू विद how the rest of the car is assembled, the engine, whatever, nothing. So what does this lead to is कि इंसान भी एक ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह बन गया है. he is being given repetitive job and नहीं है उसका एक जो इंसान की तरह कंसिडरेशन होना चाहिए, that does not happen. Okay, so author says कि same analogy we can apply to the cows also, that the cow is absolutely disconnected from its own community. मतलब कि written over here, the dairy cow is alienated from the product itself. Okay, her own milk as well as her own fellow beings, मतलब कि the cow is going to give birth to calves here and there, so it has absolutely no connect with its own offspring. खुद का milk तो of course वो cow को देखने भी नहीं मिलता, it is taken out immediately, sold out in the market. तो ये भी तो इंसानों के साथ फैक्ट्री में यही होता है. इमेजिन अ वर्कर वर्किंग इन एन कार असेंबली इंडस्ट्री, तो वो कार के बस नट बोल्ट फिट कर रहा है, काम खत्म. वो कार कहाँ जा रही है, कब फिनिश होती है, किसको बेची जा रही है, एब्सोल्युटली कोई कनेक्शन नहीं उससे. So this feature of capitalism is called as getting alienated from the consumer. So there is a lack of understanding between the two parties. You have the producer who has no idea who the consumer is, and the consumer has absolutely no idea once again who the producer is. तो बीच में कौन है, बीच में फिर हम कहते हैं बीच में there is industry. And what is meant by industry? मतलब the guys who own all this setup. जिसका वो डेयरी फार्म है, जिसकी वो कार की कंपनी है, दैट मैनेजमेंट, दोस ओनर्स, दे आर गोइंग टू प्रॉफिट आउट ऑफ दिस एंटायर सेटअप. बेचारा ओरिजिनल प्रोड्यूसर जो है, दैट गाय और दैट वुमन इज गोइंग टू लूज आउट ऑन ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग. नाउ टू एग्रीवेट दिस पॉइंट फर्दर, टू ड्राइव होम दिस पॉइंट इवन मोर, क्या कहेंगे ना, स्टार्क मैनर, व्हाट डज द ऑथर इज मेंशनिंग हियर कि देखो ये जो बड़े बड़े मेगा फार्म्स है, ये कोई आपके घर के बाजू में थोड़ी सेटअप होंगे. दे आर जनरली सेटअप वेयर these massive slaughterhouses, this massive factory farms, where are they set up? Where land is cheap, far away from your cities, very isolated, remote areas. And in these cases, these areas are depopulated. They are often deprived of basic resources. So what does this happen is, वहाँ पे काम करने कौन जाएगा? बेचारा जो बहुत गरीब है, जो बहुत जरूरतमंद है. Imagine somebody not able to make, ends meet, not able to put food before his family. That kind of person is going to work in such horrible scenario. So ऐसे केस में where people are being forced to work in areas which are far away from populated areas, which are deprived of even basic necessities. So what does this lead to is, अब वो फैक्ट्री वाला, अब वो इंडस्ट्री उस पुअर वर्कर के नीड्स की तरफ थोड़ी ध्यान देने वाले. तो इस वजह से द डिविजन, द सेपरेशन बिटवीन द प्रोड्यूसर एंड कंज्यूमर becomes even more aggravated. Or once again, who is gaining out of this entire circus? The industry, malik, factory owners, whatever you want to call them. Okay? So marginalized persons who are going to work in factories like this, they have very pitiable living conditions and hardly any decent wages. तो existing जो already problems है हमारे society में, racism बोलो, separation बोलो, poor people and rich people के बीच में, now those are going to get even more consolidated, even more aggravated. So once again, author has highlighted that if all this setup gets further consolidated through their objectification as workers by the industry. You do not consider the workers as human beings. You consider them as objects coming to the factory, putting in their labor, going away for some cheap money. ठीक है? तो कहीं ना कहीं ऑथर से कि देखो ये कुछ भी अच्छी बात नहीं है, इन सब में गेन किसका है? तो गेन सिर्फ और सिर्फ इस इंडस्ट्री का है, दैट्स इट, नोबडी एल्स। एंड क्लोजिंग रिमार्क ऑथर का ये कहना है कि जो पैसा कमाती है कंपनीज, द कैपिटल विच इज अर्नड बाय दिस एंटायर बिजनेस साइकिल, इट इज री इन्वेस्टेड ऑन द कंज्यूमर एंड, इन द सेंस कि आप एक तो न्यू कंज्यूमर्स, न्यू मार्केट्स गेन करने के लिए पैसा डालती है कंपनीज वहां पे, दे विल मूव टू अब्रॉड, दे विल मूव टू न्यूअर अनएक्सप्लोर्ड मार्केट्स, दे विल नॉट टेक दैट मनी एंड थिंक अरे अच्छा चलो हमारे फार्म्स में ना हम काउस का लिविंग कंडीशन ठीक करते हैं। नो, nobody gives a damn about cows whether they are housed properly or not. No, हमारे farms will keep on becoming more mechanized, more oppressive. Nobody gives a damn about the animals, and we are going to just keep on pushing our profits in order to get more and more consumers. तो एक तरफा नैरेटिव है, आप देख सकते हो, वेरी एंटी कैपिटलिस्ट एंड वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग, yes, एकदम कम्युनिज्म तो नहीं बोल सकते, but yes, the way the author has written it, he starts off by mentioning Karl Marx and all, so we can infer very straightforward that the guy seems to be a hardcore communist at heart. And the topic of discussion that he has taken is animal agriculture with respect to dairy industry more prominently. But हाँ, not just dairy industry, he has also discussed meat वगैरह वाला भी जो part है, where animals are reared for their meat, slaughterhouses वगैरह भी सब कुछ captured है इसके अंदर properly. All right. So chalo, with that, let's go and try to tackle the questions now. I hope that this narrative is clear to you. A bit dark actually, not a very fun read this passage, but ab kya kare? It is what it is. All right. By the way, on a side note, FYI, extra gyan, I came to know about all this setup of dairy farms, kis tarike se hota hai and all. There is this wonderful book by Yuval Noah Harari by the name of Sapiens. बहुत सारे लोग तो इस किताब का नाम जानते भी होंगे, आप में से आई होप कई सारे लोगों ने ये किताब पढ़ी भी है। तो टुवर्ड्स द लेटर ऑफ द बुक ना, ऑथर स्टार्ट्स ऑफ डिस्कसिंग, टेलिंग अस कि व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टुडे इन द 20th और 21st सेंचुरी ह्यूमन काइंड, हाउ आर आवर सोसाइटीज, हाउ आर वी एक्सप्लॉइटिंग नेचर एंड ऑल। द बुक एंड्स ऑफ ऑन अ पेसिमिस्टिक नोट, बट उसके अंदर उन्होंने प्रॉपर ऐसे इलस्ट्रेशंस वगैरह दिए हैं। तो अगर आपका थोड़ा कमजोर दिल है तो मत पढ़ो एंडिंग का पार्ट, बट इफ यू आर समबडी हु कैन हैंडल इट, आई वुड रेकमेंड कि go and take a look at the closing illustrations, the images that the author has shared. जो रिवील होता है कि हम एज ह्यूमन बींग्स कैसे जी रहे हैं और हमारे सराउंडिंग इकोसिस्टम पे कैसा चल रहा है हमारा अत्याचार। एनीवे, चलो लेट्स गो हेड। ओके, pardon, there seems to be some kind of issue with my mouse. Yes, okay, all right. Author of the passage is least likely to support which argument? अच्छा ठीक है, ओके, लीस्ट लाइकली मतलब कहीं ना कहीं ऑथर ने देखो पैसेज में गालियां ही मारी है टू एनिमल हस्बेंड्री, लार्ज स्केल एनिमल फार्म्स, कैपिटलिज्म को। So he is not going to favor a statement which favors capitalism or which shows the positive side of this animal mega farms. And so let's evaluate the options. What do we have here with us? Let's go. Let's go. Factory farming, option A, we are analyzing. Factory farming is leading to the objectification of animals and workers. Definitely we'll agree with it. ठीक है, उसने क्लियर कट बोला है कि ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन होता ही है, कमोडिफिकेशन हो ही रहा है। वी आर कंसिडरिंग एनिमल्स एज ऑब्जेक्ट्स, मैनकाइंड लेबर एज आल्सो ऑब्जेक्ट्स। ठीक है, वंस अगेन हाइलाइटिंग दिस पार्ट ओवर हियर इन क्लोजिंग पैराग्राफ, ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन एज वर्कर्स बाय द इंडस्ट्री, क्लियर कट मेंशन, ऑथर विल अग्री विद दिस, लीस्ट लाइकली तो बात ही नहीं आती। सेकंड, ऑप्शन बी, इफेक्ट ऑफ फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग इज द सेम इन डेवलप्ड एंड डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज। इसके ऊपर में क्लैरिटी नहीं है, बिकॉज द ऑथर हैज गिवन अस ज्ञान अबाउट द ब्रिटिश डेयरी इंडस्ट्री, यूके में क्या हो रहा है वो सब ज्ञान है हमारे पास। डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में वेदर सिचुएशन इज this bleak, this bad or not, that is not yet clear. So we cannot select B nor can we eliminate it immediately. Let's go see what C and D are like. So C, meat consumption increased drastically over the last few decades. Definitely quadrupled over the past 50 years, mentioned over here, straightforward. Yes, you will agree with it. D, factory farming has contributed to the deepening of social inequality. 100%. Where is it? Let's find out. It's there in the last paragraph. Let's use a different color. Okay. Alienation is prolific within capitalism वाला society. जो अदर क्लासेस, रेसेस एंड स्पीसीज में जो एलियनेशन है, प्रॉब्लम है हमारे सोसाइटी में, ऑल दैट गेट्स एग्रीवेटेड, क्लियर कट रिटन ओवर हियर. ठीक है, तो फ्रॉम दिस पार्ट वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट यस, ऑथर विल आल्सो अग्री विद बी, हेंस द आंसर बिकम्स बी, because we do not have a 100% clear idea how the situation is like in developing countries. ठीक है, तो चलो, I hope that this is clear to you. With that, let's go to the next question. And if any doubts, as always, please drop them in the comment section with the timestamp and the question number. I'll help you. Also, please share your score in this. I'm very confident that a majority of you would have gotten 4 on 4 in here. Okay. All right. This question actually a bit dangerous for people who struggled with retention here. अगर पैसेज पढ़ने के बाद में यू आर लाइक बाप रे, क्या क्या बोल दिया, इतना सारा बोल दिया, मैं कैसे समझू. यू आर स्ट्रगलिंग विद पैराफ्रेजिंग, यू आर स्ट्रगलिंग विद नोट्स, किधर क्या बोला था दिमाग में बैठा नहीं है. तो ऐसे टाइम पे ऐसे क्वेश्चंस नहीं करना. Because what has happened over the past 1-2 years in CAT exam is they have taken away the main idea questions like what is the central idea, what is the essence of the passage, and they've replaced this with thoda keyword type question, which you can see on the screen. Instead of one sentence which tries to capture the essence of entire passage, what the question does is it takes a bunch of words, separates them hyphenated form में, and says कि देख लो ये words represent करते हैं क्या major parts of discussion throughout the RC passage. अगर करते हैं तो आपका आंसर है, नहीं करते तो चलो बाय बाय. तो the concepts, the logic that we use for eliminating options in main idea questions, a lot of those is applicable in this question as well. You just have to tread more carefully in here. मैं खुद आज भी ऐसे क्वेश्चन बहुत सोच समझ के करता हूँ. Only if I can eliminate 3 options with a lot of confidence, only then do I mark the answer. Otherwise, stay away from. ठीक है. CAT 22 slot 3 में तो 2 क्वेश्चन आ गए थे ऐसे. So you cannot underestimate the power of these questions. Okay. पहला ऑप्शन देखते हैं, कार्ल मार्क्स थ्योरी. ओके, ठीक है, भले ही कार्ल मार्क्स के बातों से शुरुआत तो हुई थी पैसेज में, बट इट इज नॉट दैट इंपॉर्टेंट. एज इन यहाँ पर ऑथर इज सेइंग कि कार्ल मार्क्स तो बोलकर चले गए, बट फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ का जो हाईलाइट है पूरा फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड का, इट इज ऑन हाउ सिचुएशन टुडे इज लाइक स्पेसिफिकली इन द एनिमल फार्मिंग इंडस्ट्री. तो ठीक है, चलो, माइनर सा रेड फ्लैग है. मूविंग अहेड, increased exploitation and abuse of animals, this is very okay. The problem here is this abuse wala part na, this is not coming at the start of the passage. This is coming out very late in the passage over here. कि animal farms में animals are being kept in an industrialized and in a very oppressive manner. So this early, this word abuse, not easy to digest. Anyway, let's move ahead. Increasing poverty, this is where the option loses out completely. ऑथर ने देखो कहीं पर भी ये नहीं बोला है कि पॉवर्टी बढ़ रही है समाज में. रॉन्ग. ऑफ कोर्स ही हैज हाइलाइटेड अ लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स विद इन कैपिटलिस्टिक प्रोडक्शन कि प्रोड्यूसर कंज्यूमर के बीच में पूरा डिस्कनेक्ट रहता है. इन रिमोट फैक्ट्रीज वी एक्सप्लॉइट लेबरर्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ गेटिंग मार्जिनलाइज पीपल टू वर्क देयर, और बेचारे वो अर्बन सिटीज से सेपरेटेड है, खराब कंडीशन में यहाँ पे रहते हैं, उनसे बहुत रिपीटेटिव टास्क किया जा रहा है. तो ऐसे केसेस में ऑफ कोर्स प्रॉब्लम इज देयर, बट नोवेयर इज द ऑथर कमेंटिंग की सोसाइटी में पॉवर्टी बढ़ते जा रही है. रॉन्ग, रॉन्ग, दिस इज गोइंग आउट ऑफ स्कोप. So that is why option A we can reject very comfortably. All right, next. कार्ल मार्क्स का कोट, ये वंस अगेन मुझे कोट वर्ड से बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. उसकी थ्योरी है, उसका कंसेप्ट है, हम कह सकते हैं. वन कोट के ऊपर फिक्सेशन करना नॉट हेल्दी. एनीवे, गोइंग अहेड, exploitation and abuse of animals. Once again, this word abuse coming to give us a bit of trouble over here. Anyway, increased profits of factory farming. Okay, ठीक है. Once again, author has nowhere highlighted कि profits are going up. ठीक है, this is how we are having means of production these days, mega farms and all. But whether the profits are steadily growing up or not, we are not clear on that aspect. और फिर आता है यहाँ पे द एलियनेशन इफेक्ट. अरे, ये टर्म कुकअप तो की है, बट एलियनेशन बिटवीन whom एग्जैक्टली? Industry and consumer, no. Consumer producer, yes. Producer industry, no. So there are 2-3 players mentioned in the system. Alienation किसके बीच में? तो it is specifically between producer and the consumer. वो वाला part missing है. So the option is very very weak actually. एकदम से reject नहीं कर सकते हम, like we rejected option A, but option B is very very weak. We'll select it only if C and D turn out to be even worse. Going to see now, commodification of humans. This is very problematic. This is coming out very 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 late in the passage. Let me highlight it for you. Objectification as workers, commodification of human beings, that is coming very late in the passage. Commodification of animals हुआ है in this opening remarks by the author, where you are treating the female cow as a laborer of sorts. ठीक है? So this is problematic, very problematic. वेराइड इफेक्ट्स ऑफ फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग, वेराइड इफेक्ट्स नहीं है यार, वेराइड मतलब वेराइटी है, कहीं पे अच्छा कहीं पे बुरा, समवेयर न्यूट्रल. नो, ऑथर इज क्लियर कट अबाउट दिस एस्पेक्ट, नेगेटिव नेगेटिव एंड नेगेटिव. All right, and once again this is making another overture here by saying increasing levels of poverty. So the reason why we threw out option A, same thing we can deploy here and throw out option C. So that leaves option B, which is thankfully very well worded. What does it say? इफेक्ट्स ऑफ फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग, गुड. फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग दिया है, पहले 3 पैराग्राफ फोकस इसी चीज के ऊपर में करते हैं. गुड. कमोडिफिकेशन ऑफ लेबरर्स, ओके, दिस इज अ बिट डाइसी. लेबरर्स कैसे? ह्यूमंस भी हो सकते हैं, एनिमल भी हो सकते हैं, क्योंकि से थर्ड पैराग्राफ इज मेंशनिंग टू अस वेयर द फीमेल काउ इज अ लेबरर. सो फ्रॉम दैट एस्पेक्ट, यस, आर वी कमोडिफिकेशन हो रहा है? आर वी कमोडिटाइजिंग the laborer? Yes. If the laborer is a female cow, then yes, we are commodification of animals we are doing, we are guilty of that. So yes, that is on the mark. Separation between consumer and laborer, finally somebody highlighting the key point of discussion of this third and fourth paragraph. ठीक है? There is a separation between who is making it and who is consuming it at the end. Very much needed, and very good closing remark here. Deepening of social inequality. Good, good, good. No red flags spotted in option D as compared to other options. So that is why it becomes the answer over here. Okay? Option B, which was anyway very weak, gets rejected because option D is a far better, far well-rounded option. But anyway, my verdict stays the same, even if we are able to get the right answer here with this explanation. If you are somebody who was not feeling very confident after reading the passage, retention issues, तो ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को आप अवॉइड करो, especially when the passage is this long. So getting hold of key concepts for such a long passage becomes a tough job. ठीक है? चलो, let's go ahead. I hope that this was clear to you. If still any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Question 3, easy है. Option length is also smaller, easy to digest. इनवैलिडेट करना है आपको आर्ग्यूमेंट रिगार्डिंग फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग. मतलब ऑथर जो रोना धोना मचा रहा है फैक्ट्री फार्मिंग को लेके पैसेज में, कि हे भगवान, एनिमल्स को गलत ट्रीट करते हैं, इंसान जो लेबरर वहां पे काम करते हैं उनको भी आप बुरा ट्रीट कर रहे हो, हाई कैपिटलिज्म, एंड कैपिटलिज्म, दैट काइंड ऑफ टोन जो है आपको उसको तोड़ना है. ठीक है? तो option A is the answer over here. Very, very easy, very straightforward. What does it say? It brings prosperity in regions where it is set up. जहाँ पे ये बड़े बड़े फैक्ट्री फार्म सेटअप हो रहे हैं वहां पे prosperity आती है. Prosperity is a very very positive, solid, strong positive word. Not just financial progress. Prosperity points to uh, overall quality of life going up. Now quality of life can be in multiple aspects: financial, emotional, physical needs, basic necessities, everything. ठीक है? तो ऑथर ने यहाँ पे क्या बोला है हमें, कि नहीं यार, ये लोग जहाँ पे फार्म सेटअप करते हैं ना, लैंड इज चीप, डिटैच फ्रॉम अर्बन सेंटर्स, तो दिस ब्रिंग्स अ डिवीजन बिटवीन प्रोड्यूसर एंड कंज्यूमर. बेचारा जो वर्कर है वहां पर, ही इज लिविंग इन पुअर वर्किंग एंड लिविंग कंडीशंस विद वेरी पुअर वेज. तो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत बहुत निगेटिव बातें की है. बट ऑप्शन ए से नहीं नहीं, जहाँ पे सेटअप होता है वहां पे प्रोग्रेस होता है सब लोगों का. तो गोइंग एग्जैक्ट अगेंस्ट व्हाट द ऑथर इज ट्राइंग टू पोर्ट्रे बिफोर अस, hence it becomes the answer. BCD you can infer very straightforward. Author has mentioned all these 3 points somewhere or the other in the passage. So this was a practically very easy question to handle. Still, if you are feeling doubtful, let me know in the comment section. Till then, let's go try to tackle the last question now. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If you have liked the content so far, please share it with your aspirants, fellow friends. Let's go ahead. Which of the following cannot be inferred from Marx' theory of alienation? Okay, okay. All right, we'll have to go through the option. Cannot make assumptions here because Marx की जो theory है alienation की उसके बारे में हमें 100% idea नहीं है. One recurring theme throughout the passage which comes out is only that कि कोर कैपिटलिज्म एट इट्स कोर इंप्लाइज की बनाने वाला अलग, खाने वाला अलग, दोनों के बीच में दूर दूर तक संबंध नहीं होना चाहिए. तो ठीक है, इसको हमें देखना है कि व्हाट डज इट टेल अस एंड व्हाट डज इट नॉट टेल अस दिस थ्योरी. तो जो हमें नहीं बोलती है ये, जो हम गारंटी के साथ नहीं बोल सकते आफ्टर स्टडिंग दिस थ्योरी, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी आंसर. ऑलराइट, ऑप्शन ए, देयर इज इंक्रीजिंग सेपरेशन बिटवीन consumers and producer. 100% clear cut written in passage. That is actually at the core of this alienation theory ना, कि ये बढ़ते ही जाना है इनके बीच की गैप. ओके, ऑल राइट. नेक्स्ट, कंज्यूमर्स हैव सम एडवांटेज इन टर्म्स ऑफ इजी एक्सेस टू फूड. ये कहाँ लिखा है? nowhere is it mentioned that the end consumer is getting easy access to food. How do you define easy? Easy in the sense of geographical proximity? पता नहीं, दुकान घर के करीब भी हो सकती है, दूर भी हो सकती है ना. Easy in the sense of financial availability, financial cost? Don't know whether things are becoming cheaper or are they becoming steadily costlier. Absolutely no idea. So multiple aspects per, cannot infer option B with a lot of guarantee. In contrast, you can go ahead and see option C and D are in line with what the author is telling us using Marx ka theory. Workers and animals are seen as objects in the capitalistic setup today. Definitely, this is the answer. Mention kiya hai clear cut over here as well as over this part that objectification of workers happens. Okay. D, class difference between consumers and workers increases further. Now, where is it written? It is written over here. Let me move my laser over that part. Okay. This brings a spatial division between consumer and producer. Space का gap बढ़ते जाता है and socio spatial impact भी जो है ये बढ़ते ही जाते हैं. Accelerating the socio spatial impacts, perpetuating and accelerating. बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है किस बात को? जो डिफरेंस है स्पेस में, जो डिफरेंस है जोग्राफिकल प्रॉक्सिमिटी में, जो डिफरेंस है आपके स्टेटस में. कंज्यूमर जो है एट द एंड थोड़ा फाइनेंशियली ज्यादा प्रॉस्परस compared to the producer, that poor guy laborer working in a remote area. So yes, option D is also in line with what the author has mentioned. Hence, answer becomes second option B. ठीक है? So I hope that the passage and the question explanation was to your satisfaction up to the mark. If yes, please let me know the score that you got in this. I strongly hope that you got 3 on 4 and even 4 on 4 for the vast majority of you out there. Still, don't be disheartened if you did not get it. If you fail to get this course in this passage, so kahin na kahin it points to a lack of good, strong retention on your end, because the questions actually were very straightforward. Questions में कहीं पे कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी होती तो हम कह सकते थे कि नहीं जाने दो, आपका रिटेंशन अच्छा है, फिर भी उसके बावजूद आपके हाथ से गलती हो गई क्वेश्चन में. नथिंग लाइक दैट. क्वेश्चंस वर एज इजी एज इट गेट्स. पैसेज क्लैरिटी से समझ में आना जरूरी है. All right. So let's wrap up this discussion now. Thanks a lot for watching. Please share with your fellow aspirants, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, tata, bye bye, take care, and all the best with your prep. See you soon.